I just know I'm going to change my mind on one of these after I make this video. I love Mario Kart World, and in my opinion, what creates an amazing experience is the music. I'd rather drive on a straightaway with Nintendo's perfect soundtrack than drive on Wii's Rainbow Road listening to Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso. So I'm going to be ranking all of my favorite Mario Kart World tracks based off the music. This includes not only how well done and amazing the soundtrack by itself is, but also how it fits the track theme and feel of the game. I do want to say that I don't think any of the pieces are bad, just some are obviously better than others. So let's get right into number 30. Bowser's Castle. I take it back, this track is bad. No, I'm kidding, and I get if it's some people's vibe, but honestly, it's just a little bit too noisy for my taste. I do like that one part with the synth lead, and I think the really fast drums were a good choice for this track since you're riding on constant boost pads for half the course, making it one of the faster paced tracks. And I know for Bowser, Nintendo has been leaning towards more of the metal feel, but I would have liked a cleaner, intense track, maybe with some majestic feelings as well. It is a castle after all. 29, Coco Mountain. I've heard this pronounced Choco Mountain and Coco Mountain. I'm not sure which one is right. Well, I said none of the tracks are bad. Honestly, going through these, I don't think the first few ones are really that good. At least when my standards are good Nintendo music. There's not much going on for me to have this any higher. It also kind of gives a simplicity vibe as if this was an intro to a kid's TV show. I think maybe the cheese is real with this one, but I do see how they were trying to take a retro course and give it a monster truck theme. And I think it did well, it just doesn't give me much to go off of. '28, Shy Guy Bazaar. This one disappoints me because it sounds pretty cool, but I'm not a fan of the instruments. It would have been nice if they used live instruments or maybe an electric bass with better sounding leads. It has so much potential to be higher, but in reference to pretty much all the other tracks, there's just some quality difference with this one. '27, Koopa Troopa Beach. Very cute, very silly, and this one definitely is just a matter of it not being my style. I prefer the Bossa Nova one that plays during free roam. Short track, so short description, I guess. '26, Desert Hills. I think this remake of Desert Hills is pretty good. I love the panning guitar from right to left, and the bass line is really cool. Definitely an upgrade from the version in DS and Wii. Speaking of which, did anyone else completely not even recognize this course because it was so different? I think the music was the only thing I noticed. But anyways, I think both desert-themed tracks could have been a bit better, but I prefer this one over the Shy Guy Bazaar. '25, Dino Dino Jungle. This one reminds me of playing DK Mountain on the Wii as a kid. It is fun, very tropical sounding. It fits the cartoony dinosaur aesthetic, but I think I would have rathered more realistic dinosaurs like the Super Mario Odyssey T-Rex music. But they definitely went with more of a cartoony style for this game, which makes sense. '24, Wario Stadium. Super catchy melody. I think it nails the feeling of being in a dirt-filled stadium, doing tricks off the ramps as the crowd cheers. I think it did the monster truck feel a bit better than Coco Mountain, but it might just be that I like the brass and sax editions. '23, Airship Fortress. I actually think this track is pretty good, and it would have been way higher on the list if it wasn't Airship Fortress. I get it's a remix of the DS version, but to me, it's just a missed opportunity to reference the classic Airship theme, or at least just the rhythm. I get sad every time I play this track. 22, Dandelion Depths. I've heard a lot of people say they don't like this one, but the only issue I have is maybe the electric guitar lead style. It's just played interestingly. But other than that, I really like the string section, and the mandolin plucking is really fun and adds a sense of urgency. And some of the lower chords seem to climb down, fitting the feeling of exploring a deep cave. #21, Wario Shipyard. This one almost sounds like a Super Mario Odyssey boss battle, but the boss vibes fit the stormy seas around the shipwreck. I think this track works super well with the visual aesthetic, with a feeling of danger, but still the fun, upbeat Mario Kart vibe. #20, Sky High Sunday. I love violins, and the bass playing on this track is crazy. The only thing that brings this one down more is just that it feels like it's constantly building up to something, but never actually does before just looping back to the start. It would have been nice to see them add a satisfying chorus to the end of the track. But this vibe works with the track and how you're almost never just driving. You're either on a wall, a rail, or just soaring through the sky. And maybe that's why they went with a building up to nothing kind of feeling. However, this is a remake of a track from Tour, so maybe not. Now we're getting to all of the tracks I actually like to listen to. These were a lot harder to place, but at 19 we have Acorn Heights. The 6-8 I think works really well with racing, especially on a track like this. It almost feels smoother than 4-4, like you could just glide right through with no bumps or potholes. I'm not even exactly sure what genre this is, but driving around a giant tree doesn't seem to feel out of place. #18, Dry Bones Burnout. No one saw this coming for a lava level, but hey, it works. This Latin jazz style fits with the Day of the Dead aesthetic of the track. If you heard this music by itself, you'd probably think it is more like you're racing through a Mexican town rather than next to a volcano. But all that to say, that isn't bad. I think it's a pleasant step away from the normal lava level music like Grumble Volcano. #17, Mario Bros. Circuit. Life is a Highway is always the first thing I think of. This whole track just reminds me of Radiator Springs. But since this is the first track in the game, it does a great job as an intro to what to expect throughout the rest of the playthrough. This isn't even exactly my vibe, but it fits racing on dirt roads and Route 66 type highways a lot better than I expected. Harmonica, you're welcome here. #16, Peach Beach. This remake is beautifully done. I don't have too much to say about it, but I just love how true to the original it is, while still sounding more modern. And the nostalgia might be playing into this a bit, but I love the high flute and the percussion. It just all works together to make a laid-back beach trip. #15, DK Spaceport. This one was going to be way higher just because I like the fact that it gets more intense as you go through the 6 different sections of the track. But after the first section, the rest of it just kind of gets repetitive. Like, I guess it doesn't matter as it adds layers while climbing up to the top of the rocket, but it is enough to push it down my list a bit. #14, Moo Moo Meadows. I've always loved the remake of Moo Moo Meadows from Mario Kart 8, and I was wondering how they're going to make it better on Mario Kart World, but I guess they realized it's hard to top, so it sounds pretty much the same. However, I think I do like this one a bit better because it does sound more full. But I could listen to the doubling of the Celtic fiddle and whistle all day. "13 Salty Salty Speedway." Almost like Acorn Heights, this one just gives me that go with the flow feeling, which is perfect for this track since a lot of the time during the race you're riding on water rather than a racetrack. I really like the last section of the track, it always gets stuck in my head. "12 Cheap Cheap Falls." Dino Dino Jungle, Salty Salty Speedway, Cheap Cheap Falls. What is up with the double words, Nintendo? But anyways, I always get excited passing this place on Knockout Tour because I love the intensity of this track. It has such a nice traditional Japanese theme, but with that electric guitar and bass, with the energetic drums, it makes sure you don't forget that this is a race. "11 DK Pass." It reminds me so much of Shiveria. It makes me want to have Christmas dinner while we watch people ski down the hill outside and children build snowmen. I really like the direction they took this track, and I don't even know how they could have made it better. I hope the fiddle is a norm in Mario Kart soundtracks from now on. "10 Great Question Block Ruins." I love this track so much. If there was ever giant ancient ruins in the sky that happened to be shaped in such a way that you could race on it, then this would be the perfect music to fit that oddly specific description. But that's what makes it so great. When composers can take a crazy idea like some of the Nintendo Worlds have and make the music match whatever it might be, that takes real talent. Also, does this part remind anyone else of Legend of Zelda? Especially the credits version. "9 Crown City." People aren't gonna like that this one is so low. I really do like it, I just think the other ones are better. But that doesn't change how cool this track is. It sounds like a party, or maybe even something you'd listen to while passing a city on a long road trip, which is why I think it fits really well when you show up to the track racing from somewhere else in the game. "8 Faraway Oasis." It might just be the French horns, but I love this track. It fits especially well when racing a Knockout Tour, as you race alongside a herd of zebra or bison. I know a lot of people weren't a fan of the racetrack itself, but you have to admit this is a banger. I love the African safari feel along with the big band brass. "7 Mario Circuit." I really don't have much to say, but this is how this track was always supposed to sound. I remember first noticing how good this track was when it played in Super Mario 3D World. But now in Mario Kart World with the Latin-inspired piano, the big band brass, and saxophones, it's hard to hear it any other way. "6 Toad's Factory." This is another one I always heard and wished I could hear it with live instruments. I do wish they made the first lead a trumpet or sax, but that's really my only critique. Similar to the last one, this is how it was always supposed to sound. Five Starview Peak. I never know what direction Nintendo is going to take their ice theme music, but they never disappoint. This is such a beautiful piece, with even a solemn feel to it, which I think fits with a Rosalina track, as she probably has the most tragic backstory of any Mario characters. Speaking of Rosalina, this one might just be high because the references to her observatory, which is in Super Mario Galaxy, my favorite game and soundtrack of all time. For Whistle Stop Summit. Let's go, Celtic music in a Mario game. I have always loved steam trains, and so I knew I was going to love this track, but I expected more of the music to be like the good, the bad, and the ugly. But wow, this is 10 times better. I wish it were a longer track, but the intermission sounds really good too. Three, Peach Stadium. This is such an interesting track, starting out with a grand royal feel, followed directly with a harmonica solo. Then saxes join in, and it keeps that orchestral feel throughout. It is just so creative and fits so well with the grand castle in the center of an open Mario Kart world. I honestly wish I could talk more about this, and maybe I could even make a video about this track alone. 2. Boo Cinema. The best haunted theme in a Mario Kart game ever. Not only is this track unique, taking place in a haunted movie theater, but the music is just so good. With the New Orleans style jazz and the very vintage horror elements like the theremin and rising augmented chords and the tremolo strings, this track gives me chills every time I play it. And no, not because it's spooky. The music actually changes once you drive into the movie itself, adding more instruments and replaces the clarinet with brass. Everything just fits so well, and this is another track I'd love to do a full video on. One, Rainbow Road. You probably saw it coming, but what more can I say that hasn't already been said? Especially since I already made a video about this track, and you should check it out after this one. Just so many emotions. I've never thought a Mario Kart game could almost make me cry, but this music is just so magical. It is currently my favorite piece of music, and it syncs up so well from the moment you leave Peach's Stadium to driving on the glittering river, to shooting up into space, to driving the final stretch. The game tracks where you are on the course to make sure the part of the music it plays fits with what you're seeing on the screen. The synth solo, the violin chords, the drums, the bass lines, the brass sections, everything about this track is amazing. It cannot not be number one, and I didn't even hesitate to place it here. And hopefully most of you will agree. Well, there is my ranking of all the Mario Kart World tracks based on their music. I hope you enjoyed. I want to see your lists as well. Just put it down in the comments and I'll check it out. I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and thanks for dropping by.